Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Monday morning. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It has been a really long time. At least it feels like a really long time. I took off, I think, Wednesday and Friday, and man, that created like crazy amount of space in my head. I have missed you all so much. I have missed running the show. I am so sorry about being a delinquent last week, but I was just beside myself. I was beside myself, talking to myself, and you know things are not good when you are both beside yourself and still talking to yourself. It was too crazy for language. Kira, good morning. Oh, sunny, beautiful fall temps in Plymouth. You know, here too, are you getting the same thing where you are? It was yesterday. The kids were at the beach. I was teaching in Madison, Connecticut, and I dropped them off at the beach with their dad. And they had a beach day. They were in the water. Of course, it was, I mean, from what I understand, ice cold. But you know how children do not feel physical pain at all, at least enough to know that they're in pain. But with water, they would be in there in every season, you know. And today, it's absolutely fall. It's chilly. I've got jeans on. I've got this on. Remember these guys from the merch store? I was wearing this when I dropped the kids off at school. And Teddy wanted to wear his Halloween hooker shirt. And I, in a nutshell, explained why it was not appropriate. And his response was just, ew. When I said that there's two, you know, a hooker can mean two things, he just said, ew. And we left it at that. It's fall. It's creeping up on us. Thanks, Kira. Do not forget to like the video. I am working hard over here. I am back, Robin. I loved your photos. You're back in Wisconsin already. You know, last week I was exactly where you were this weekend in New Hampshire. I could see, I mean, I saw Rocky Gorges and White Mountains, so I figured you were on the Kinkamagus Highway and in those areas of the White Mountains, and it is so beautiful, right, Anne? It is so beautiful. Robin was there this weekend, and I'm sorry. Next time you come, give me a heads up, because I will come and see you anywhere near me at all. Martha, happy coffee time from sunny Ontario. I think we're all getting a nice blast of good weather today. M.E. Shelley, good morning. Asheville, North Carolina. Oh, that sounds nice. It's finally feeling like fall. Jennifer, nice to be here and share good company. Beautiful day to hook outside in Maine. Oh, that does sound good. That sounds so good. Crystal, it's going to be a lot about you today, Crystal. I read the article, you know, the article in Chatalaine magazine, the Canadian magazine. Crystal is heavily featured. That is the subject of Coffee Time today, and I'm so excited because I love Crystal. I love the cooking royalty that you come from, and the article was beautiful and well written and well deserved. So we're going to look at that in just a minute. Doreen, good to see you in upstate New York. I don't have any energy, Doreen. I am so tapped out. I have a sore throat. I have a canker sore. I don't know where that comes from. I guess from having shingles, whatever. That's what they said. I am falling to pieces. And this running around every morning with kids in school is just, it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. I don't know. I don't know how to keep going. I don't know where the energy is gonna keep coming from. Joy, good to see you. Your rug is looking beautiful. You gotta post that Abenaki. It is so beautiful. Christine, it's a beautiful day in upstate New York too. Christine, I always love seeing your comments. You're on during the day today. You're on live. You know, I know that not the Finger Lakes. What's the Fiber Fest that's coming up soon? I think is it New York State? There's a Fiber Fest coming up. I must have been sleeping at the wheel, you know, metaphorically. Because I missed that, and I would have loved to have participated in that. I know there's a good big one coming up. Dave, good to see you. Lazy day at home, no shame. No shame, no judgment. You deserve it. Any day of the week is good for a lazy day at home, and I'm sure you're not lazy. Barbara, good to see you. Thank you for sending me Chatalaine magazine so I'm able to share it on today's episode. Really appreciate that, because it seemed like it was going to be difficult / lengthy to try to acquire, so that helped a ton. Carol in Wisconsin, good to see you. Happy coffee time. Happy coffee time, Jill in Virginia. Chrissy, happy coffee time. And Cynthia, good morning. All my buddies are here. Ew. Teddy got a graphic description when he was talking about, you know, he's asking questions about the birds and the bees, and his dad is a biologist, a scientist. So he answers these questions in the kind of detail that I wouldn't. Of course, I was brought up with nuns and nuns doing that content, so we got the birds and the bees. That's what we got. But yeah, he does the kind of content that makes me go ew too. Teddy was not up for it. He's just a little guy. Cynthia, 100 degrees in South Texas. Oh man. First cool front. Okay, tomorrow out first cool front at 85. That's still very, very warm, isn't it? You're just used to it. You're much more used to it, I guess. That sounds so brutal. Christine says Southern Adirondack is this weekend. Very nice festival, not stressful and overcrowded. Interesting. Catherine, good to see you. Welcome to coffee time. Christine, I'm going to have to think about that because I think weirdly my schedule is, and I'm not bragging because it's not healthy. I have a crazy schedule right now. It's frenetic and unhealthy. Those of you who are doing the Dionne class with me this coming Sunday, I'm getting those packets out today, so don't worry about that. I'm expressing everything. I dropped the ball, but it will all be there in time, I promise. Dionne class coming up, the tie-dye class this coming Sunday. Nothing on Saturday. That might be an Adirondack day. Frida class, the first one comes up next Wednesday, Designing Like Frida Kahlo. Book club the following day on Thursday, Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. That's our book club for this month. And then I'm doing next week, on the 2nd, if you're in Connecticut, the Weathersfield Fair. That's like a Historical Society-driven fair. I think that'll be a better match for me. And then on Sunday of the same week, the 3rd, I'm teaching again at Madison Wool, Mad Wool in Madison, Connecticut. One of the Halloween classes, the sugar skulls, but they're pumpkins, right? They're not skulls, they're sugar skull pumpkins. That's coming up, and then later that day I'm running the second Frida at night. So those things are all coming up in the near future. Too much, way too much. I'm teaching, just as a reminder for those of you that are around Vermont, I'm teaching at Mad River Fiber October 16th. So that's a punch needle and rug hooking class at Mad River in Waitsfield, Vermont on October 16th. Right, that's the week after Columbus Day weekend. And then the following week on October 23rd, teaching the Halloween mola. Remember the cat, the mola cat? Hooking the cat mola or pumpkin mola or bat mola. I have a bunch of molas on Cape Cod at Salt Yarn, right in Dennis. So those are all coming up. A bunch of festive classes coming up. Wasn't the best weekend this weekend. Just killed myself working to get it done. My mom was here all last week, all the weekdays. That was part of the reason I took coffee time off. We were working on getting kits done, merch ready, things ready to be out there. Steph was helping me. She normally works with Jay right on the other side of this wall. She was helping me all last week, and we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things done. And I feel like our stall was beautiful and inviting, and it was just not a good day. We made like 3 sales. It was not good. And, you know, it wasn't like a specifically fiber fair. And it was just one of those things, you know, who knows? It's like a moving target, isn't it? The right people, the right day. Felt like it was 150 degrees. I ripped my dress like 3 times while I was setting up. So I thought, well, that's not a good start, is it? I'm walking around like a hobo in a dress with holes. I'm like one of the Flintstones, right? But it was just not a good day. And it was, you know, at the end of the day, Jay said it was a great exercise in getting set up. Figuring out what to do, where to put stuff, answering our own questions, making lists of things that we can improve upon. But in terms of sales and having the right people, it was not a good day at all. Having said that, you know what? I'm just gonna say this because I wonder if you have thought the same thing and if you feel the same way. This came up during coffee time when we were looking at the Anne Wiseman book. Remember the great Anne Wiseman? We were looking at her. Her book's called something like Wool Tapestries and Rag Mosaics, something like that. But we looked at her book for the better part of a week. And one of the remarks she made, I think that book is late 60s, early 70s. One of the remarks she made in that book was something to the effect of, isn't it strange how, now this is going to sound sexist because I'm going to say women, but that's what she said. Isn't it strange how women in this day and age, and again, late 60s, early 70s, talk in a way that it is kind of like a bragging point that you can't do anything, right? You can't sew a button on, you can't hem pants, can't do anything with a needle, can't cook, can't, you know, all of this sort of laundry list of things, including laundry, that you can't do. And she was making the point, you know, several decades ago, what a strange state of affairs when particularly women who I think are notoriously capable, and sorry, Dave, and all the other men who are watching, fantastic multitaskers just by nature. What a strange state of affairs when women just routinely are bragging about not being able to do anything. And I have to say, I heard that. I heard that so much this weekend, and it was so disheartening. People walking by the stall with all of these beginner kits, and I'm standing there ready to show, ready to demonstrate rug hooking. Jay built a beautiful punch needle table that two people could work on at the same time with all beautiful old crates, and it had like old antique feet on it, this big stretch top where you could just practice punching. People just walking by, and the number one thing I heard was people saying, oh, you know, I wish I had a hobby like that, but I really can't do anything. I can't sew a button on. People saying that. And I'm thinking, God, when did this happen? I feel like I'm the opposite. I'm always bluffing and going, I can do that. And then I get online and figure out how to do that. I'm always doing the exact opposite. But it was so disheartening to hear so many people saying two things. Either I can't do anything, I'm not good at anything like that. And then I'm saying, why don't you give it a shot? I'll show you right here. Free lessons in rug hooking and punch needle, right? And oh no, I can never do anything like that. I'm not talented like that. And then people, the second one, distant number two, was like, oh, it looks like it takes a lot of time. And that got me too in a different way, because I thought, I take everything too personally, right? I was exhausted. But I thought, everything takes time. I mean, but isn't it true, that old classic saying, I don't know who said it, I don't know if it's just one of these universal sayings, that there is exactly enough time in life for everything that's important to you. So, I mean, I consider myself quite busy, but there is enough time for kids and for beach and for work and for patterns and for orders, getting orders out, and sometimes sleep. All of those things that are important, there is enough time. And I just, it was a bit discouraging. It was a bit discouraging. Southern Adirondack. Let's see, I'm just catching up. Benja Rhinebeck. Was much too crowded in past years. That's in October. Okay, I haven't missed that one yet either. How did the craft fair go? So not so well, Crystal. But I'm looking forward to the one in Wethersfield because it's sponsored by the Historic Society. And even though the one this last weekend on Saturday was in New Milford, which is a beautiful, typical sort of old, very classy, wealthy Connecticut town, more toward the New York side, I thought it might be the right people who'd be interested in crafting and things. It just wasn't enough people. And I don't know if it was the heat or all the competing harvest festivals that are kicking in. I don't know, but there was just not enough people walking around. It wasn't like it was just my stall. It was nobody was happy. We were being happy, we were being normal and pleasant, but it was not a good sales day. It felt like a bit of a Jack in the Box wind up kind of a day. But the class the following day at Mad Wool yesterday, I taught the Van Gogh class, hooking your Van Gogh sky, like the Starry Night, the way that you wanted it. And for me, I have the New England Village under it, but I left it blank in the class, and people were doing all of those wild swirls in the sky with all hand-dyed wools that I did in yarns, and lots of crazy fancy fibers that went beautiful in the sky. They lit up that Van Gogh sky. Remember Van Gogh saying he couldn't do anything without using his blues and yellows and a little bit of orange. Those are his colors, even in the night sky. So we really dug into that sort of those color families and worked in that style and talked about his life. And the people in the class were spectacularly good. I didn't even say the words, hooking a circle is difficult and tricky. I didn't even say it. I waited until they had hooked several circles beautifully. And then I said, you know what? And I probably shouldn't have even said it then. I said, you know what? This is the hardest thing that you really do in rug hooking. Hooking in a primitive number 8 wide strip and hooking circles, that's considered quite hard. And they had already done it at least once. And they thought, wow, now that I've done it, I've done the hardest thing. Everything is downhill from here. Not, downhill in terms of excitement and talent, but in terms of difficulty. Let's see, Dave says. That's right, Dave. That's right. And Barbara says there's a great lack of manual dexterity. Yeah, there is, Barbara. And a lot of people put it down to home ec. I don't know what it is. It seems to me like it's partially the loss of home ec in schools, definitely American schools. But I think there's also this weird sort of status shift, because when I think about, I come from a town in Rhode Island that's a very wealthy town. Our family was we were normal, but there were a lot of very wealthy yacht club, country club people there, and they are my close friends. But, we weren't among them, but we fit in beautifully, even in the 70s and 80s, because those people were sort of the old money people, and they don't make you feel it if you don't have the right handbag or the right nails, right? They don't make you feel it. It's the people, this is like a blanket statement. It's a lot of people with the new money who do make you feel it. And the way things look are important, and your lifestyle is important. Appearing leisurely, I think, is important. And to be the kind of person who's a go-getter, who's very, very capable, and not only used to, but expecting to do things for yourself, that doesn't always fit that lifestyle and that culture. And it's a fairly new culture. And I feel like, just as an observer, having done tours all over the country and all over the world, given tours for so long, as an observer, I just have noticed over the years that it is kind of a status thing to be lazy and to have people do things for you. And the further that goes, the further it worries me, because I think, yesterday I stopped to gas up. I'm going to start doing content. I stopped at a service station just to let Joss go to the bathroom because she was having an emergency. We were in a beach traffic jam. And I pulled over, and a husband and wife parked their car and got out to fool with the tire pressure, right? And it was her. She was this little thing. They were both probably in their 70s. She was this little thing. She had a fantastic figure, like an athlete, right? She had her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked gorgeous. She was in the driver's seat. She jumped out of the driver's seat. Her husband got out of the passenger seat. This is just a role reversal. I'm just making the point that it was a curious thing to see. He's kind of looking at the gauge, and he's micromanaging, and he's pulling the thing out from around her, and she takes it out of his hand, and she squats down. She ends up getting on her hands and knees, right, with like beautiful pants on. They were like beautiful light colored pants, and she's undoing the tire thing, and she's sticking it in there and prairie dogging up, and she's looking at the levels and stuff, and she's shouting to him, and I'm guessing she's going, get the tire gauge out of the glove compartment, and he shows up with that, and she just did it. I mean, she's screwing the thing back on. She's getting up. She's dusting herself off. They're getting back around to the driver's seat. And he looked perfectly capable, too. Didn't look like he was mean or rotten or anything wrong with him. But, man, she was the kind of woman that I hope that I am and will continue to be in the future. Just capable. Just assume that you can do it and not the other, right? Don't assume that you're going to fail. Assume that you can do it. And, if it needs more work or thought than you think, then decide if it's worth it. Jennifer says, I saw the video from the booth. I thought it was awesome. Kids, yeah, lots of grab and go items. There was so much for beginners there. And Christine says, my dad ran the continuing ed department when you were a kid. Mom went to all the classes to learn everything. Right? Isn't it great to learn as much as you can? So interesting. One of the ladies who stopped by the fair, she was a neighbor. She had a beautiful garden right behind our stall, if you noticed that. There was a gorgeous English garden. She was an older lady, and it was her garden. And we talked for a long time about plants. And she said she occasionally talks at historical societies about the different plants and their Latin names and what they can do. And I don't know anything about gardening, and I found it so interesting. And I thought, man, I just got like a free lesson in gardening, right? And it was so lush and interesting and detailed. And I just got it while I was standing here doing nothing. I was asking questions, and I was getting the most thorough answers. It was so interesting. Yeah, you got to just keep reminding yourself to be the kind of person who checks in, right? And don't sell yourself short, like Dave said. Just assume that you can do it. Assume you got it. The stuff that we do is not rocket surgery, right? We're pulling loops up through backing after all. Carol says there was a time starting in the 50s and 60s when women needed to distance themselves from homemaking as it was considered a lesser occupation. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true too. And that is a moment. But I feel like we went awry more like I totally agree with that. And that was so extreme. And everything was super, super sexist back then. That's not even like a point to argue. It just absolutely was. But I feel like we went awry more like the 80s with that big money boom and people just having too much money for that time, really more money than they could spend. And status symbols became so important at that time. When you think about the difference between the 60s and 70s and then the 80s and how important, even as a young person, my God, as nice as my friends were and how as lovely as the town was, even being in a Catholic school, if I showed up on photo day, right, the one day the year that you didn't have to wear your uniform, and I didn't have a Benetton sweater on, you might as well just go home, right, and not show up again for the next whatever. But yeah, I mean, Esprit, Benetton, Swatch watch, all those things became so important, and then we evolved from there into like the very big brands that only until that point rich people would get, like people starting to wear Ferragamo shoes and Louis Vuitton luggage and things that younger people really shouldn't have access to because they don't have the funds for, right? You just don't have the funds. I remember Woody Allen did a great mini movie. I think it was called Manhattan, something Manhattan. Do you remember this? 3 short movies together, and one was set in a penthouse, and it was about young kids, quite young kids, like Jocelyn's age, like not even junior high kids, going around in these super branded things, and how their parents were really enabling them to wear these things, and they were real bullies, about the kids who couldn't afford to have the same things. I feel like that really spiked at that time. Too much money, right? Too much money, too much stuff, and a complete deviation from what we were doing socially up until then, with like a little bit more consciousness about social justice and equality. We moved way toward me first and more for me for at least a decade. Cynthia says, the pics in your stall looked awesome. Yeah, well, maybe next time. It just wasn't my day, right? Malia. Malia, I sent you some more monk's cloth because I didn't see quantity 2 the first time. So I sent you a second package. So I sent you, just consider the first package just extra bonus, because that was my mistake. So I sent you another package with the full amount. I'm so sorry about that. April says, better late than never. Good to see you. Nouveau riche. That's it, Kara. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that puts a different spin on things. And I'm anybody who's successful, particularly if you do it yourself, I say good for you. But don't make other people feel bad about it, right? That's the thing. Be generous and kind, even though you made it. Be generous and kind to other people. Beverly says, I try to learn something new each year. I learned to build a fence last year. In fences, both are lots. Good job. Why not? Learn something every year. That is a fantastic sort of rule of thumb. Kira says it's incredible, some of the brands that high school kids wear. It is super incredible. Cindy says my son had to have Air Jordans in high school. Dang, near broke me. Yeah, I know. I feel the same about my mother. All of those times that I think of her driving out to Coho's. I don't know if that was a chain, but it was our department store. And I remember I was so rotten in those days. I might have told you this story already. But one of these days, she was almost in tears driving the car to Coho's because I needed another Esprit shirt. This was when I switched over to public school for freshman year of high school, just like that one year. I needed another Esprit shirt, and she was driving through Providence. We lived outside Providence. And somebody like hit her from behind, and the car went up on the guardrail and scraped, and she came to a screeching halt. We almost went over the guardrail onto it was an overpass, right? So onto traffic below. That was almost it for us. And I was in the back seat with my sister, and the car was like smoking, and she pulled over, and she was just crying. And I remember in the back seat, I actually said, does this mean we're not going to Coho's? I mean, it was just so bad. It was so bad. I bought into that, and thank God I crawled back out of there. By the fingernails, I crawled back out of there. But that was a bad frame of mind. Oh, good, Maya. I'm so glad. We all have the same thoughts and worries, right? No matter who we are, where we are, we've all experienced the same craziness. But did you notice back to the fair and all these patterns? I put out a new pattern, and Kirsten colored it. She did a bunch of different colorings of the Halloween cat. I'm going to open one of the ones I had at the fair. It's a great pattern, and I have a bunch of these since I didn't do many sales. I'll put it up on the website. It's available as a pattern, but it's the cat. Let me get him out of here. It's this cat. It's this cat right here. I started it myself, and it's the Maud Lewis cat, right? Fluffy. He's got the crazy eyes like that, but I started mine. I was working on it at the fair. You can see I had quite a bit of time with a kind of, what do I call these, boomerang flowers coming up, and I dropped a spider here and a spider here. I haven't done the eyes on Fluffy yet, and I haven't finished his face or his whiskers, but you can see I'm going to be doing a lot with the coloring the leaves. So for each of these, the coloring was fantastic, wasn't it? Kira is so good at that. For each of these fluffies, I did a different color combo where I put in a specific color of yarn to outline for people who wanted to outline, plus a cat color. In this case, it's white. A background color. In this case, it's blue. And this is all stuff I hand dyed. And then I think I put 8. We said 8 is enough. We were trying to remember a number. Remember the show? 8 is enough. I put 8 different colors of strips so people could decide how they wanted to do their ferns. So that has been available over the weekend as a pattern to order, and some people have ordered it as a pattern, but I'm going to also make it available as a kit because I have a bunch of kits. So that's coming up, and I wanted to show you, I got a little ways with that, and that was a good project. Catherine says, would like to help to have people, textile artists, rug hooking live at the booth. Yeah, I was sitting hooking, and when people walked by, I was teaching. There was a few young people who walked by that I was able to show them how to punch. But they were the kind of age where they, look like teenagers, and they didn't maybe have the money or whatever to be buying. And I can't pressure people. It's just not in my nature. Speaking of business, one more thing, and then we'll do some commentary. It's going to be a longer episode. Speaking of business, I am going to mention to you first, because none of the people who are watching today are included in the group of people I'm addressing. I'm going to change the format up. If you are on our Facebook group, which is Rug Hooking and Punch Needle Club, I'm going to change the rules to it and the format a little bit. It is now the largest group in the U.S. for rug hooking. And I love the group, and I think we all built the group. We all built the group. With passion, with love, with the desire to help particularly new people get started. But I feel like lately it has been a group that is just a little bit too much about selling. And there are, at the moment, too many people who are selling in the group who do not participate in any other way. And I feel like even a Facebook group is like a relationship, right? And if you take more than you give, the relationship becomes strained. And I feel like that's where we are with our group at this moment. There are too many people logging on once or more a day, just posting their own new patterns, things that they sell, links to Instagram and their shops. And I want people to be able to do that. But I want to be sure that in our group, the people in our group are posting your projects. And if it's your own pattern, by all means, I would be disappointed if you didn't say it was your pattern and give the selling information. But just these constant ads for people that don't participate in any other way are what is really getting me down. So I'm going to be making some changes admin-wise to that. Kirsten's helping and Kira's helping with that. Because I think that it's tripping me up a little bit looking and seeing just ads for Instagrams all the time. I want to see the projects that you're working on, and I want to see those posts from people who are saying, I'm a beginner. I don't know which way to hold the hook end up. I don't know what I'm doing. This is going wrong. Can anyone help me? Because those posts for people who are actually needing help and wanting to be part of our community on that page, those are getting buried in all these sales posts. So I'm going to have to rethink it. I am aware of it, and a lot of you have written to me about that. And I just have been very reluctant to change the rules because I want everybody to be able to sell. And I want there to be sort of fair market trade going on my page too. But it has gone a little bit crazy lately, and I feel like we're losing the community part of our community page. So I'll be addressing that, and you might be seeing some changes on that page. Hello, Tanya. Good to see you in Bermuda, you lucky duck. Good to see you. Crystal, a good way to declutter the feed and get back to the heart. Exactly. That's exactly what I want to do. Get back to our roots, to our basics. Get back to people logging on saying, I'm logging on because I want to see what you do, and I want to do it too, and I'm learning. Or I haven't done this for a while, right, Martha? That was you coming into it, getting back into it. You want to see posts. You want to post things, and you want to have people answering you. You just don't want to go on and get a barrage of please like my Instagram page kind of stuff, because I feel like that's not for our group. We have a huge group and a huge platform, and we have a huge opportunity to help people who are beginners and getting back in, and we have a duty to do that now that we have this great space. So I'm going to be doing a bit of cleaning up in there too. Debbie, yeah, good, Debbie. I'm glad you agree. I don't want to tick anybody off, and I don't want to upset anybody, but we got to get the balance back, I think. Speaking of gorgeous people with amazing work who are so important to the backbone of this craft. Crystal, this is where you're going to be squirming in your chair because I'm not going to be able to stop. This article, this is Crystal. She's on our feed here. My printer's awful, but Crystal, you are gorgeous. You are so gorgeous, and your work is gorgeous, and you are such a nice person. I just love you. I love your family. I love where you come from, that whole Chetty Camp background. Crystal participates in everything, and you always have. And you have been doing the most tremendous work. I really admire it. I put the link to Crystal's Rugs, in the link to this video. Now, this was sent to me again by Barbara. Thank you. This article in Chatalaine magazine, right? This is a Canadian magazine, so it was a little bit hard to get quickly here in New England. Chatalaine magazine is it's been around for decades in Canada. I would think at least since the 60s, 70s. It's kind of like a Vogue. I know there's Vogue is there too, but Chatalane's a little bit differently. It's got a lot of home features, if I remember right. Beautiful magazine. And this was a great feature. This was in the home section, fiber art section. And with this picture of Crystal, it says, "Hey, Heather." It says, quote from Crystal, "Making things is really special." It says Crystal Ross, a rug hooker from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, who is known for her playful fiber art. Crystal goes on to say it humanizes our world. And then the link to Crystal Rugs, which is important to see her gallery of work, because Crystal has created a body of work at this point that is has a very what do I want to say? Not uniform, but a very signature look, right? Very touches on mid-century, but you have completely deviated from the mid-century palette, and you've gone toward very interesting colors, often dark light, dull bright. I think your colors are unique and phenomenal, and your work is very recognizable, which makes you an artist, right? There's always a question of art versus craft, isn't there? But when you do this kind of work so routinely, so often, and people look at it and are able to say, Chatalaine magazine's been here since, Dave's going to tell us, I think. And when someone looks at your work and they're able to say, I think that's one of Crystal's rugs, then you know that you are, number one, talented and you have achieved success already. Because having a look that registers with people is it, isn't it? 'Cause I have never had that, and I'm sure I never will. My work is all over the place, messy, sloppy times. But your work is so recognizable, and it's diverse. It's not narrow. It's not recognizable because it's all the same. It's very diverse. Your work is extraordinary. This article is called Pattern Play. And again, it appeared, is it this month's magazine? Is it this month's Chatalaine? Under the art fiber section, home fiber section, sorry. A bold and cheeky new generation of fiber artists is reinvigorating Nova Scotia's rug hooking tradition. Written by Morgan Mullen. Getting some good compliments there. Fantastic. Cindy says, I left Facebook 2 years ago because of exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, Dave says, Chatalaine magazine's been around since the 1920s. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. No, I found it in like antique stores and things like that, old issues. Tanya says, I'm in Nova Scotia in Bermuda. I am a Nova Scotian in Bermuda and have begged my mom to pick up the Chatalaine magazine for me, even if it means risking COVID. Oh, she's vaccinated. Can't wait to read about Crystal's work. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. There are 3 artists featured in this. I think Crystal is the most featured. I'm being very biased, and I like yours the most. And you are right up front here at the lead of the magazine. I'm not going to read the whole article, but it starts with Crystal Ross makes magic while making do. Based in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, the artist behind the line Crystal Rugs, singular, transforms hand-dyed wool into art during motherhood's stolen moments. That's a beautiful phrase. I haven't actually read it yet, so I'm tripping a little. I love how portable this craft can be, she says, prepping for a weekend in the woods with her family, rug frame and hooks in tow. Perhaps she'll take the hook her grandfather, who alongside her grandmother was an artisan rug hooker in the Acadian village of Chettycamp, Cape Breton in the 1960s, made her. That's great history. That's family history that you can't buy. You're just so lucky to be born into that. A tool so small it almost gets lost among Ross's tangle of fingers. It's not child size, she laughs. That's just the size they worked with because their wool was so fine. So the article goes on to talk about a lot of Crystal's thoughts and great inspirational quotes. Later talks about Laura Sanchini, the curator of craft design and popular culture at the Canadian Museum of History, has traced the region's nearly 100-year-long rug hooking history from local pastime to thriving cottage industry. Now, we have covered this often on Coffee Time, right, and on cocktail nights, talking about Chettycamp, talking about Lillian Burke, talking about all of these people who started missions to try to help people out of poverty and find income and doing this craft, hooking or using a shuttle hook, essentially a punch, but in most cases hooking with wool, yarn, in this part of Canada anyway. So she covers this a little bit in the article, and talks about some of the people who, again, Lillian Burke, it's a similar, I'm just skimming as I go, who created these centers where women were able to work and create these beautiful rugs, which were then sold, completely changed the economy in these very remote regions that depended, before on fishing and luck. So a huge game changer, and a little bit of the history is covered in this article. And they talk, of course, about Dionne Fitzpatrick as a rug hooker in Amherst, Nova Scotia, establishing her shop. And this article does cover a couple of other artists. Victoria Brummel, I'm going to show you her work, swapped painting for rug hooking. And a quote from Victoria is, "I wanted to make something that could have more function and would be in people's homes and have daily use." And these are two examples of Victoria's work. Very pop art, right? Very pop art. Oh, Barbara says, just looked at your website, Crystal. Your rugs are amazing. They are amazing. Dave, Chatalaine taught you to cook. Chatalaine has such a weird name, right? Because isn't it Chatalaine, like that metal like chain that women would wear on their waist with all of their keys and tools hanging off of it? Maybe it's a metaphor, right? Maybe it's a metaphor. I think I just got it. All the keys and tools, right, that a person would need. I think I just got it. Ding dong. I wish I had a V8. So this is just a beautiful article. I think this must be Victoria. Is it Brumwell? Brumwell, Brumwell. Another gorgeous person. She's holding her rug tufting gun, right? We have yet to do that. We'll do that soon on the channel. She's doing rug tufting. Now, Crystal, it looks to me watching your videos like you are always using a punch. Do you ever use the rug tufting gun? Just that's directed right to you. But this is Victoria with her tufting gun. This is the one that I attempted to use before I injured my shoulder that almost separated my arm from my body. But I bet Victoria has a much better handle on it, literally. She's doing amazing, amazing work. I'm going to give it another shot. I know this is a big thing lately. Amazing work. And it's looking like Victoria's working vertically on a vertical frame, whereas, Crystal, I've seen you work down on like a floor frame, like a jetty cam frame. So it's just making the point there are so many different styles to work within, even within punch, right? Interesting. And Victoria's information is in here too. V. Brumwell Art. That's Instagram. Brumwell. It looks like she's got some glorious rugs too. I love this picture too. Everybody in this article is just so gorgeous. These are the most gorgeous people I've ever seen. Such nice, happy-looking, healthy, artsy people. Hannah Eidson, Eidson, and her Instagram is h.h.hooks. And she says in this quote, "I hope that my work makes people smile." And just look at her and her smile. Oh, you know what? Let me do this. Sorry. Let me do this. This is that one has a bit of a swear in it. Sorry about that. Wish I caught that one a second earlier. But beautiful, beautiful, colorful work. And it is making me smile. She's holding a giant banana that she hooked. She has got gorgeous work too. This is just a fantastic article. I'm going to show you one more of hers. Let me edit this with my finger again. Let's see if I can, let's do this. And again, very pop art looking. I absolutely love it. Crystal, I love yours. I love yours so much. The second two artists, it's a banana motif, fruit, super colorful. Crystal, you seem to go more for florals, right? You seem to cross over more with sort of historical motifs. Crystal says, all three of us live within 5 minutes of each other. That's unbelievable. Are they super fun girls too? They look so fun and happy. I wish I was in that hornet's nest. This is like the Bloomsbury of Nova Scotia, but for rug hookers, right, and punchers. Crystal answered, never a gun, a tufting gun, but do switch between Oxford punches and more traditional hooks. And by hooks, do you mean, Crystal, like shuttle hooks, like these guys, like the blue nose, like the shuttle hooks? Or do you mean that you flip your piece over at one point and end up rug hooking the bits of it that are left over? I'm just curious. So this article is fantastic. It talks about all three artists and their really happy, really colorful work. And besides the way it looks, just people who are working within this industry, rug making, and doing new work, colorful work, happy work, inspiring work, all work. It's fantastic, fantastic. We are a small group. People who, do rug anything, right? Floor walls, anything. We're a small group. We always need to be promoted, recognized, brought to the front. Anybody who's working in this genre, I think, is amazing and doing important work. Oh, I bet they are. I'm so glad that you three live together. That really must be like a Bloomsbury situation, feeding off each other's ideas and energy, and you're all doing such good work and tidy, neat work. Good technique and good design. So that's just lucky. That's a wonderful fusion of being in the right place at the right time. And I think we all wish for that. That we were surrounded by a group of people who loved the same thing as us, had the same passion, who you can have the same very particular and crazy conversations with about something that you love. And most of us don't have that. So you three are so lucky to have that. And Crystal answered by hook, I mean the singular bent nail type hook. Okay, good. So you are using an actual hook, not the shuttle hook. You're alternating between the two. That's good information. One of the things I like the best about this article, and I'm going to close with this, is at the end of it, it gives us this little flow chart that's called A Hook in Time. It's very, very helpful. It says, Nova Scotian women have spent the last century making art and industry through rug hooking. And the tradition ever evolves. So it starts off, the timeline starts in the 1920s when American artist Lillian Burke visits Cape Breton and develops a rug hooking cottage industry with the intention of helping women living in poverty. And then it moves on to 1956 when Elizabeth LaFour, a Cheticamp rug hooker, is invited to the White House to present her hooked rug portrait of Eisenhower to the American president himself. And then it skips over to, there's a lot in between, of course. There's tons of gold in between, but big highlights. 1993, Dionne Fitzpatrick opens her studio in Amherst, teaching thousands how to rug hook in her signature popcorn technique style, which becomes the region's hallmark. And then it jumps to 2016. Truro, Nova Scotia-based artist Laura Kenny's work, Kenney. We've talked about her quite a bit too. She is another spectacular artist. Her work is featured and displayed at the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia. She's one of the first artists to use the symbolization and abstraction in rug hooking. So really deviating from that old-time style of classic motifs, right? I always say flowers, medallions, those kinds of Pearl McGowan, early mid-20th century designs, really deviating from that and crossing over to much more modern design, much more graphic and modern design. And there is no right way, is there? There is no right way. And you don't even have to choose as someone watching or participating or beginning. You don't even have to choose. One day you can work in the style of the 1950s and do a beautiful giant floor rug for under your dining room table. And the next day you can do popcorn style like Dionne Fitzpatrick. And the next day you can work in a real graphic style filled with symbolism like Laura Kenny. You never have to choose, do you? That's one of the beauties of this, because there is no wrong way. You just do what you feel like at that moment, the moment of that project. 20 to 21, a new wave of artists across mainland Nova Scotia turned to rug hooking as a means of self-expression, bringing new influences, bright colors, distinct visual styles to the medium. So I thought that's a great timeline. That's a simple timeline, but that's a great time. You can't put like 20 pages of chronology into a magazine article, but this really is a beautiful magazine article. And again, Barbara, thank you for forwarding that. I would have been spending a lot of time trying to figure out how I could obtain it. So Jennifer's asking that very question. Jennifer's saying, what month edition? She wants to order this magazine. So has anybody confirmed in this thread yet whether it is the current magazine? Is this a monthly or a bi-monthly magazine? And if so, does that mean that this is the October issue if it's this month? If you can let us know, that would be great. Let me catch up on comments. Tony says, the Bloomsbury of Nova Scotia. I love that too. Yeah, that popped in there and it fits real well. Yeah, so Jennifer's asking about that. Crystal is saying it's called the Late Summer Edition. So I wonder, Jennifer, I mean, I know you're in the U.S. too. I wonder if it's like you're going to order it on Amazon, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I would, if it was me and I didn't have it in my hand, I would be checking eBay first just to be sure I had the right edition, because every time I order a magazine from Amazon, they send me whatever one they want. I mean, that's just been the way it's gone so far. Jennifer says, Crystal, you're so incredibly talented. Your work is so fun and bright. One of your floral rugs would brighten a room. It would brighten any room. It's just a gorgeous style. It's a gorgeous style. I hope that you never, Crystal, I hope you never change your, it's great to evolve and have variety and mix up your colors and do new designs, but I hope your style never changes. It's really, really so distinct. And it's so good. It's distinct and so good. I love it. We all love it, right? That's why we're singing your praises. Okay, Barbara says Chatalaine, September 2021. So that's a good answer. Let me know if you find it. I wouldn't mind having the actual magazine too. I might order one myself. So Crystal, thank you. Thank you for that, Barbara. Thank you for forwarding the article. Crystal, thank you for your work. That was a great day back for me, being able to look at that and talk about that work. And it's going to really make me dream and think of you three girls together within such a short distance of each other, working and having fun like that. That just sounds like absolute heaven. I'm super happy for you. I can't wait to see what you do next. I can't wait to see what all three of you do next. The other two girls were amazing too. That was just stellar. So thank you so much for that. And tomorrow I'm not even sure what I'll do yet. I might go back to the history and finish the Bed Rugs book, talking more particularly about that book and finishing that out, because I still have not gotten to that. So this will be a full week on Coffee Time. I'm running everything same as always. I will run a cocktail night this Friday night for sure. I'm not sure of the subject yet, but I have what I think is a great germ of an idea. So I'll be working on all of that, and I will be here. So you will be able to reach me. It's not a travel week for me. I am here if you need anything. ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. So have a great afternoon, everybody. I'll try to update some stuff and post some new stuff in the shop that's newly available, ribboncandyhooking.com. Barbara says, I could purchase a few magazines and send them to anyone who wishes. Barbara, that is so nice. So Barbara just offered to purchase some of the magazines and send them from Canada. That sounds like a very straightforward way of going about it. Barbara, I'll get one from you that way. And I hate to put the onus on you, but I obviously want to pay for all the costs that involves. So yeah, I would love to get one that way. Kira, thank you too. Thank you for listening to me earlier when I sent some crazy messages from the car to you. You're always such a good support system. Cindy says, I'm a wool processor, dyer, and spinner. I've never sold my fibers or yarns. As a result, I have a huge stash of yarn and fibers. I knit a ton of stuff and was getting a bit bored with knitting. Good for you. So you're thinking of trying something different. That is exciting. You know, if you are, Cindy, on Facebook, and I know not everybody is, but if you are, make sure that you're also in our group, which is Raw Cooking and Punch Needle Club. Because despite what I just said, I said something very particular about a very particular kind of posting. If you are a dyer and spinner and all of that, and you have all of this wool, we would love to see it in that group. And if you're selling any of it, I'm sure people would love to see what you do and what you sell. And if there's anything you need in terms of help getting you started on something new, you are definitely in the right place. You have found the right group of people, I'm sure. All right. I'll leave the thread for a second as I log off, because I can see some of you are communicating with Barbara to get this magazine, and I think that's a good call. So have a great afternoon, everybody, and I'll figure out what's going on for tomorrow, but we'll be together tomorrow and for the rest of the week. It'll be a great week. I also intend to run Zoom on Thursday, so we'll have a normal Zoom day if you just want to log on and chat with or without your camera on, you just want company, or you have questions, you're working on something, you need some advice. Definitely log on with us at noon on Thursday. I'll put the Zoom information on a little bit later in the week, but I'll be there for that too. So if you're a beginner and you're stuck with something, certainly log on. I'll try to help, and if you can't, there'll be a lot of people on the Zoom call who are way more experienced than I am that will be able to jump in and help with your specific problem. But